Ton stood at the bus terminal. His degree in economics tucked under one arm and a worn duffel bag slung over his shoulder. The humid air of his rural Nigerian village greeted him like an old friend, carrying with it the scent of ripe mangoes and freshly turned earth. After years of studying in the city, he was finally home, not to settle into the rhythm of village life but to transform it. His dream of bringing solar energy to his community burned brighter than the midday sun, a vision fueled by the struggles he'd seen growing up, frequent power outages, reliance on expensive generators, and the stifling limitations they placed on progress. His parents were skeptical but supportive, their faces etched with a mixture of pride and apprehension as he explained his plan over dinner. Solar energy is the future, Ton insisted, his voice trembling with conviction. His father nodded slowly but reminded him, the future is only built with hard work and trust. Ton knew that winning over his family and, eventually, his community would be just the first of many hurdles. The village elders were less enthusiastic when Ton presented his idea at the monthly community meeting. They listened patiently as he explained how solar panels could provide a clean, reliable energy source and boost local businesses. But their responses ranged from cautious optimism to outright doubt. "We've had promises before," one elder said, his tone heavy with skepticism. "How do we know this isn't just another city idea that won't work here?" Undeterred, Ton began drafting his business proposal, his laptop glowing faintly in the dark as the village generator sputtered its last for the night. He reached out to friends in the city, asking for leads on investors, grants, or mentorship. Progress was slow, and for every step forward, there seemed to be a setback waiting. But Ton remained resolute, buoyed by the dream of a better future for his village. Weeks turned into months as Ton juggled research and meetings with local business owners. One afternoon, his phone buzzed with an email that sent his heart racing, a response from a regional entrepreneurship program. They were intrigued by his solar energy proposal and invited him to present his ideas at their upcoming innovation forum in Lagos. Though thrilled, Ton knew this was only the beginning. He spent days refining his pitch, adjusting slides on his old laptop, and rehearsing his delivery in front of his younger sister, Kemi. She teased him about his formal tone but offered insightful critiques. "You need to tell them why they should care," she advised. "Make it personal." The forum in Lagos was a whirlwind of suits, name tags, and polished presentations. When Ton took the stage, his nerves threatened to betray him, but he steadied himself by looking at a photograph of his village taped inside his notebook. He spoke with passion about the struggles of rural communities, the promise of solar power, and his vision for a self-sustaining energy system. As he left the stage, a woman handed him her card. "Great pitch," she said, smiling. "Let's talk soon." Returning from Lagos, Ton felt a mix of excitement and exhaustion. The forum had opened doors, but he still had no solid funding. At the village's dusty bus park, a young woman in a yellow blouse sat typing furiously on her laptop, drawing curious stares from passers-by. Ton noticed her, intrigued by her focus. Moments later, her laptop slipped from her lap as she tried to balance it and a notepad. Ton rushed over, catching the device before it hit the ground. "Thank you," she said breathlessly, offering a shy smile. "I'm Dami. I'm a journalist covering rural innovation projects." They exchanged introductions, and when Dami learned about Ton's solar energy project, her eyes lit up. "This sounds like a story worth telling," she said. Though hesitant at first, Ton agreed to share his journey, sensing that her platform could help amplify his vision. Dami arrived at Ton's home the following morning, her notebook and recorder in hand. She listened intently as he walked her through his plans, the challenges he'd faced, and his determination to bring sustainable energy to his village. As she took notes, Dami realized this wasn't just a story about innovation, it was about resilience, hope, and community. Together, They toured the village, stopping at small shops and households to speak with locals. Ton introduced her to Mama Hope, who sold akara by the roadside. "If I had steady electricity," Mama Hope said, "I could store food longer and save money on kerosene." Dami captured these moments with her camera, her enthusiasm infectious. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Dami thanked Ton for his time. "I'll write the article and send it to you before it's published," she promised. For Ton, this partnership felt like a turning point, not just for his project but also for his belief in the power of storytelling to inspire change. The article appeared online a week later under the title *A Lighting Up Rural Nigeria, One Man's Solar Dream. Ton's phone buzzed constantly as messages poured in from strangers, former classmates, and even potential investors. The piece had gone viral, sparking conversations about rural innovation. One email stood out: a renewable energy company in Lagos wanted to discuss a potential partnership. Ton replied immediately, setting up a meeting for the following week. Meanwhile, his neighbors began showing cautious support, with some offering to help clear land for the solar panels. Dami returned to the village to document the community's reaction, and this time, she stayed longer. The two spent hours brainstorming ways to overcome obstacles, from regulatory challenges to community buy-in. Their collaboration deepened, and Ton found himself drawn not just to Dami's sharp mind but also her warmth and determination. Not everyone in the village was supportive of Ton's plans. A local generator dealer, Mr. Bayo, saw the solar project as a threat to his business. "These city ideas don't last," he told anyone who would listen. "Ton will take your money and leave you in the dark." Rumors spread quickly, and Ton found himself facing unexpected resistance. At a community meeting, he addressed the concerns head-on. "This project isn't about me," he said, his voice steadied despite the tension. "It's about giving us all a chance to thrive without relying on expensive and unreliable power." Dami stood at the back of the room, silently cheering him on. She admired his ability to stay composed under pressure, even as doubts loomed. By the end of the meeting, a few skeptics had softened, though Ton knew winning over the entire community would take time. As weeks turned into months, Ton and Dami's partnership grew stronger. They spent long evenings discussing strategy, often losing track of time as they laughed over shared memories of city life. Dami's curiosity about rural living led her to join Ton in the field, where he taught her how to plant yams and identify medicinal herbs. One evening, as they watched the sun set over the village, Dami asked, "Why are you so determined to do this here? You could have stayed in the city and built something easier." Ton hesitated before answering. "This is home," he said simply. "If we don't invest in our communities, who will?" Their eyes met, and for a moment, the weight of their work seemed to lift. Though neither spoke of it, they both felt a shift in their relationship, a bond deepening into something more. The meeting with the Lagos Renewable Energy Company was a success. They agreed to provide partial funding for the solar project in exchange for data on its impact and scalability. Ton returned to the village with a renewed sense of purpose, eager to begin construction. The funding came with stipulations, however. The company wanted visible progress within 6 months, and Ton knew he would need every ounce of support from the community to meet this deadline. He called another town hall meeting, this time presenting the company's backing as proof that his project was legitimate. The tide began to turn. Volunteers stepped forward to help clear the land, while others offered to spread the word to neighboring villages. Even Mr. Bayo, though still wary, stopped actively opposing the project. Construction began in earnest, with solar panels arriving in trucks that drew curious onlookers. Ton oversaw every detail, from the placement of the panels to the wiring of the first prototype systems. Dami documented the progress, sharing updates on social media and in her articles, which continued to gain traction. The work was grueling, and setbacks were inevitable. A shipment delay threatened to derail the timeline, and unexpected rainfall flooded part of the cleared land. But each challenge was met with determination and teamwork, strengthening the bonds between Ton, Dami, and the villagers. As the first panel was installed and successfully powered a small light bulb, cheers erupted. For the first time, the community saw tangible proof that Ton's dream was becoming a reality. The sight of the first solar-powered light bulb ignited hope in the village. Even those who had been skeptical began to show interest, offering to lend tools, transport materials, or help with manual labor. Ton noticed the shift in attitudes and realized the importance of building trust through action. To ensure everyone felt included, he organized regular community meetings to update them on progress and gather feedback. Women like Mama Hope suggested using the solar power to run small refrigerators for preserving food, while younger villagers asked about powering a community center. These ideas inspired Ton to expand his vision beyond lighting homes. Dami played an integral role in bridging the gap between Ton and the villagers. Her articles continued to shed light on the project's progress, and she shared photos of volunteers working under the blazing sun. "You're not just building solar panels," she told Ton one evening. "You're building trust." One afternoon, two government officials arrived unannounced, dressed in crisp suits that stood out against the dusty village roads. They introduced themselves as representatives from the Ministry of Energy, claiming they had heard about the project through Dami's articles. At first, Ton was wary. Government attention could be a blessing or a curse, depending on their intentions. The officials praised his initiative and expressed interest in scaling the project to other rural communities. However, they also hinted at the need for compliance with regulatory processes, which could slow down progress. After they left, Ton shared his concerns with Dami. "Do you think they're here to help or to complicate things?" he asked. Dami admitted she wasn't sure but promised to investigate further. Meanwhile, Ton braced himself for the potential challenges ahead. As construction continued, so did the bond between Ton and Dami. They spent evenings brainstorming ways to involve more villagers in the project, their laughter often punctuated by quiet moments of shared understanding. One evening, under a starlit sky, Dami admitted, "I didn't think I'd find so much meaning in this story. It feels like more than just work now." Ton smiled. "That's because it is more than work. It's about building something bigger than ourselves." Their closeness didn't go unnoticed. Villagers began teasing them, with Mama Hope joking, "You two are like the sun and the moon, always together." Though embarrassed, neither Ton nor Dami denied the growing affection between them. The rainy season arrived, bringing delays and logistical nightmares. Construction sites became muddy quagmires, and several solar panel shipments were damaged in transit. Ton worked tirelessly to keep the project on track, often sacrificing sleep to troubleshoot problems. Dami noticed the toll it was taking on him. "You need to rest," she insisted one evening, bringing him a plate of jollof rice. "You can't help anyone if you burn out." Reluctantly, Ton agreed to delegate more tasks to his growing team of volunteers. He realized that trusting others was just as important as inspiring them. With their support, progress resumed, albeit slower than before. The renewable energy company funding Ton's project sent representatives to assess the progress. They were impressed by the community's involvement and suggested expanding the project to include nearby villages. Ton saw this as an opportunity but knew it would require more resources than initially planned. He and Dami began drafting a proposal for additional funding, focusing on the project's scalability and its potential to transform rural economies. Dami's writing skills proved invaluable as she helped craft a compelling narrative that combined statistics with personal stories. "This isn't just a proposal," she said. "It's a promise to everyone who believes in this dream." Mr. Bayo, the generator dealer, wasn't ready to give up. He began spreading rumors that Ton's solar panels were unreliable and wouldn't last more than a year. Some villagers, still hesitant about the project, started questioning its viability. Ton decided to confront the issue head-on. He invited an energy expert from Lagos to conduct a workshop on the benefits and durability of solar power. The session was a success, dispelling many of the doubts and strengthening the community's faith in the project. Dami captured the workshop in her next article, which highlighted the villagers' growing confidence. "It's harder to fight misinformation when people are armed with the truth," she wrote. Despite the challenges, small victories kept morale high. A local tailor, Ode, became the first villager to connect his sewing machines to the solar grid. His shop buzzed with activity as he completed orders faster than ever before. "It's like a miracle," Ode said, beaming with pride. His success story became a symbol of the project's potential, inspiring others to envision how solar power could transform their lives. Ton and Dami celebrated these milestones with quiet gratitude. "Every light that comes on is proof that we are making a difference," Ton said. By now, Ton and Dami's relationship had blossomed into something undeniable. They shared more than just a vision, they shared dreams, fears, and the quiet moments that made the hard work worthwhile. One evening, as they walked through the village, Ton stopped and took Dami's hand. "I couldn't have done this without you," he said softly. Dami smiled. "You didn't need me," Ton. "But I'm glad I'm here." Their first kiss was as natural as the sunrise, a combination of months of partnership, shared struggles, and unspoken feelings. With the solar project nearing completion, the village began to transform. Small businesses flourished, children studied under bright lights, and families saved money they would have spent on fuel. Ton reflected on how far they had come. "This isn't just about solar panels," he said at a community gathering. "It's about showing that we have the power to change our future." The villagers cheered, their faces lit not just by the solar lamps but by hope. As the solar panels powered more homes and businesses, neighboring villages began to take notice. Representatives from these communities visited to see the progress firsthand, amazed at how a small idea had sparked such a transformation. Ton and Dami hosted meetings with them, sharing insights and offering guidance. "This isn't just for our village," Ton said. "It's a model for what's possible across rural Nigeria." The interest from these visitors reaffirmed the scalability of their project, but Ton also knew that replicating success elsewhere would come with its own set of challenges. To prepare, Ton began training a team of local youth to handle installations, maintenance, and troubleshooting. "If we want this to grow, we need people who understand it from the ground up," he told Dami. This decision not only empowered the youth but also created job opportunities, further strengthening the community's belief in the project. The Ministry of Energy officials returned, this time with a larger entourage. While they praised the progress, they also raised concerns about regulatory compliance. They requested detailed records of funding, installation processes, and community agreements. Ton worked late into the night with Dami to organize the necessary documents. "They are testing us," he said, exhaustion evident in his voice. "We have to prove we're serious and transparent." Though the process was tedious, Ton saw it as a chance to legitimize the project further. The officials left with the files but hinted that more visits would follow. Their presence loomed over the village like a storm cloud, but Ton refused to let it dampen his spirit. Not everyone welcomed the attention the project was receiving. Some villagers worried that the increased scrutiny might lead to government interference or higher taxes. Others feared the project might only benefit wealthier households. At a town hall meeting, these concerns boiled over into heated arguments. "What if this brings more problems than solutions?" one villager shouted. Ton took a deep breath before responding. "This project is for all of us. I promise to address your concerns, but we must work together to ensure its success." Afterward, Dami reassured him. "You handled that well. Leadership isn't easy, but you're doing it right." Her words were a balm to Ton's frayed nerves, reminding him of the importance of staying calm under pressure. Just as the project seemed to be on solid ground, disaster struck. A powerful storm swept through the village, damaging several solar panels and flooding parts of the site. The villagers woke to the sight of toppled equipment and shattered glass, their earlier optimism replaced with despair. Ton felt the weight of their disappointment as he inspected the damage. "We'll fix this," he promised, though he wasn't sure how. The funding was stretched thin, and repairs would be costly. Dami suggested reaching out to the renewable energy company for additional support. "They've seen what we've accomplished so far," she said. "They might be willing to help us rebuild." Ton reluctantly agreed, drafting an urgent appeal for assistance. In the meantime, he rallied the villagers to salvage what they could, proving that resilience was as much a part of the project as the technology itself. The storm became a turning point for the village. Instead of giving up, the community came together like never before. Men, women, and children worked side by side to clear debris, repair minor damages, and protect the remaining equipment from further harm. Mama Hope organized food deliveries for the volunteers, while Ode used his sewing skills to create protective covers for the panels. "We've come too far to stop now," he said, echoing the sentiment of many. Dami documented the recovery efforts, sharing images of villagers working tirelessly to rebuild. Her post gained widespread attention, with readers praising the community's resilience. The renewable energy company responded positively to the appeal, offering additional funds to replace the damaged panels. With the additional funding, Ton was able to order new solar panels and improve the system's infrastructure to withstand future storms. The recovery process took weeks, but when the system was fully operational again, the celebration was even greater than before. "This isn't just a win for me," Ton said during the celebration. "It's a win for all of us. Together, we prove that nothing can stop a united community." The villagers cheered, their voices rising above the hum of newly powered lights. For Ton, the moment was a reminder that challenges could be opportunities in disguise. As the project flourished, Dami found herself at a crossroads. Her editor wanted her to return to Lagos to cover a high-profile political scandal, a story that could elevate her career. However, the thought of leaving Ton and the village weighed heavily on her heart. She confided in Ton one evening, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "I don't know what to do. This project has become so much more than a story to me." Ton looked at her, understanding her dilemma. "Whatever you choose, just know you've already made a difference here. And you'll always have a place in this village." His words comforted her, but the decision was far from easy. With the success of the project, neighboring villages formally requested to be part of the solar network. Ton saw this as an opportunity to create a regional grid, connecting multiple communities and sharing resources. To achieve this, he needed more funding and a stronger team. He recruited engineers from nearby towns and trained local youth to take on leadership roles. "This isn't just about one village anymore," he told them. "It's about building a movement." Dami, despite her personal struggles, continued to support him by documenting the expansion and raising awareness. Her articles caught the attention of international organizations, some of which expressed interest in funding the next phase of the project. Dami spent sleepless nights debating whether to return to Lagos or remain in the village. On one hand, her editor's offer was tempting. A high-profile political piece could cement her status as one of Nigeria's most influential journalists. On the other, she had grown deeply connected to the village, Ton, and the story they were building together. One evening, while sitting under the stars, she opened up to Ton again. "I've made my decision," she said, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. Ton braced himself, unsure of what she would say. "I'm staying," Dami continued. "At least for now. This story isn't finished, and I can't walk away from it or from you." Relief washed over Ton, and he smiled. "I don't know what the future holds, but I know it's brighter with you here."